Holton, some of the older offensive players, is it pretty? You get a good idea they've already kind of maybe ahead of the coaches, and some have already kind of commenced as season reps.
Well, I don't know if they're ahead of the coaches or not, but you do get guys like Holton that have dove into it pretty good. So, you in the summer we always kind of take the first couple of opponents, sometimes four, sometimes three. It kind of depends on how the schedule lays out. You do a little summer scouting report on them, so you kind of compile all that. You watch some tape. You kind of write up a preliminary game plan a little bit. Then you have to kind of go back and see. They may have had guys get hurt or what's going on with them. So Holton had already started doing that this summer. Because it's the first game. The good news about playing a interstate rival like this, where there's a lot of history, is the summer is not nearly as hard on the coaches to motivate the players because they know that first game they're playing a really good team, a team that really is an important game. So their focus is there. That really helps you. The negative is this team's really friggin' good. That's the problem. So you're opening up with a game that you don't want to turn it into a bigger game than it really is. They're all big, Super Bowl, whatever. No, that's it in the NFL, Super Bowl, whatever. We're just playing another game. We're not going to put the whole season on that. But you have to find that balance a little bit. But, yeah, he's probably already studied 3 or 4 teams a little bit on it because he enjoys that part of the game. I think that's one of the things he really enjoyed about getting to go to the Manning Academy because, Peyton's like that. I mean, he just loves football, and Holt just loves football. So I don't know how many others are at that point probably, but at least he is. He is kind of an important one.
How's that number one spot in the wide receiver room shaking out?
The number one spot, what is that? What do you mean?
Talk about depth charts.
Okay. Who are the starters? What we're at right now, and this is a good thing finally, we don't have just 11 starters. You don't just have a starting X or a starting Z or a starting H. You've kind of got you don't have 22 of them. That, maybe Alabama does. Not very many teams have that, where it doesn't just drop off that you'd say that. But we do have a group of guys. Like we got 7 or 8 offensive linemen that are going to your starter. Maybe you don't take the first snap. We've talked to the skill kids about that, is that, don't get into, Malcolm's going to put down how many games that guy started in a row and all that. And we all appreciate him doing all that work and keeping up with that. But, I think Hardy didn't start one time, because we got backed up. We were coming off the goal line and we were using a different set, maybe 3 tight ends, or something like that. So we don't get into too much about who's that type of a starter, but there's guys in the rotation. Those are the guys that are over when we split into scout teams. They're over there practicing against that next opponent. We've got some pretty decent guys at wideout right now, I think. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of guys hurt through the camp, and I don't know that they're not coming back right now. But we've got probably 4 or 5 guys that I feel very comfortable. I hope I don't have to really think too much about who's in there. Is he in there, whatever? Now, there are a few plays you design maybe specifically for one guy because maybe that skill is only his. But feeling good about the wideouts right now. I hope they're going to be challenged, though. That first game will be a huge challenge, so they better be ready.
There's been so much talk about returning running backs.
Yeah.
There hasn't always been a ton of talk about returning tight ends. How great is that you have 2 guys that caught touchdowns and plenty of passes from Holton kind of to help out with that?
Yeah, any returning starter, I guess is a good feeling. Like you say, the tight end room was so small when we got here. We put them in the broom closet out there. We didn't even give them a whole meeting room out there because we didn't have anybody. Nobody wanted to play tight end when we got here. We talked Jeremy Lewis into coming over there and playing tight end because he's a freshman. Freshmen don't get to pick too much what they do, to get us through the season. But now tight end's a big part of the offense, okay? It's an important position. Guys want to play that position. Having Shane back, who's played a lot of football. Obviously, Ryan really emerging last year. Aaron Jarman's, giving us some depth there. D'Angelo McKinney, we moved him over there. So that room's full of guys. We signed a guy already that came early. Tyler Savage kind of plays as a hybrid a little bit in there too. And there's really some good depth there. So that's a good feeling because we want to have a tight end. And the thing, it helps you in the red zone, helps you in the passing game, helps you be able to block. I think it makes it harder to defend if you got tight ends like we do.
Your first year back, maybe you didn't have enough guys to get touches to. Now is it almost like, how do we get all these guys touches? Is that a good problem?
That has always been a situation. Probably like this in basketball too. I'm sure you can compare it to that. That you either have not enough or you have too many. And we talk about that a lot, about everybody don't get into how many touches you got and how it goes. I know I talk about Hardy all the time because he's just such a good guy to talk about. I remember games once he became the guy, and the defenses they knew he was the guy. So that Zay Jones, I used to kid him all the time, and Hardy, I said, he's going to break your record because you're over here, so they're all covering you, and we're throwing it to him. And Zay used to get 4 or 5 catches in the first quarter, and Hardy'd get 1. But Hardy never panicked about that. He knew in the end that he'd get his touches if he did what he did, and he would always get his, things like that too. So we have spoke to some of our guys about that. Don't get into that. Just run the route, run it good, get open. If you're getting open, we'll find you. We'll realize that. Block when you're not, you don't have the ball. Make sure you're blocking for the other guy. And unfortunately, injuries happen. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to have some depth. It's a long season. It is a long season, so you got to have some depth. I know this, the receivers love having depth at practice when you can rotate those guys in there. Now, in the games, they don't get as tired. You know what I'm saying? They don't like all that depth. But I always tell them, hey, on Tuesday you wanted to roll. You know what I'm saying? So how about on Saturday we roll?
How's that O-line depth at camp?
It's better than it's ever been. It'll never be where you want it to be. The concern there is you've had some guys that have had injuries and they're coming back, and so all through preseason camp, we've tried not to just overplay Noah, get him enough. He's got to work like everybody else. He wants to be out there, but long season. We don't have to have him in there every snap. And the scrimmages, we didn't do that. We put Parker, we put those other guys in there. We were able to build some depth there. Bailey Malkovich's coming. He's been out since the first game, like the 4th play of the game. So it's been a long time since he's played. We've tried to do the same thing there. I'm a little concerned inside right now, though, that Avery Jones and Ashad have gone every snap, and and then Isaiah Foote all but one day has gone. We haven't found that depth that we're as comfortable with as we are at tackle right now, just because inexperienced. But we're working the guys. Right now, they're probably going to have to play pretty much the whole game.
I asked Coach Houston about Mason Garcia and kind of the decision maybe whether to redshirt or play him. And Coach Houston never would say maybe one way or the other. You may not either, but kind of what are those conversations like, trying to decide maybe whether?
Well, if he didn't say it, I'm probably not going to say it. No. The thing that's different now is because you can play 4 games, and so we'll wait and see how it plays out. We've had some conversations with Mason about those type things, and both ways are still in play. What you got to do, though, is, I say to Mason all the time, is you have to train, you have to think, you have to practice, you have to live like you're the starter this week. Because, just remember, it was Tuesday about 10:30 in the morning, and Coach called me in and said, Holton's won't be playing this week. He tested positive. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you might want to call Mason. So I called Mason. Hey, what are you doing? He's like, well, just about ready to get some lunch. I was like, well, why don't you grab a bite right quick and get on over here? He's like, anything up, Coach? Is something wrong? I was like, no, but you're starting this week. And, whoa, okay, well, at least it was Tuesday. Sometimes you may not know. So you got to be training like you are the starter. And so you don't want to say, hey, we're going to redshirt you this year. We're only going to do that, because there's no way anybody's mature enough, to then be able to say, well, I'm still going to go just like I'm going to be the starter, because it could change at any time right now. The good thing at quarterback is that Ryan Stubblefield and Alex Flynn both are starting to show that they probably could go in there and still give us a chance to win the game. So the depth there has really, really grown. It may never show, because you may never get, I hope you don't get to 4 quarterbacks. You usually would say that. But teams have had to do that before, what I'm saying? So that has changed. We couldn't have answered that question, though, before preseason camp. I mean, you're thinking, like, well, there'd be no way. But as camp's going on and Flynn's played so much better, you're like, well, you wouldn't have to waste a game. Or if, like at Houston last year, Holton got dinged pretty good. And, of course, when a guy like Holton goes down, the whole sideline panics. Oh, he's out. I was like, he's out for now, or he's out for good? There's no way. He took one right to the head. There's no way. So, Mason, you're in. Well, 32 seconds later, who drops in the game? Here comes Holton again. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, if y'all would have told me he was coming back one game, I wouldn't have maybe thrown Mason in there, for one play. So we'll be more prepared this year, I think, for that kind of thing. And I'll feel better about, hey, we could do this, So.
Coach, how do you approach the rest of this week? Is it like a long game week for you, or do you not want to say game week? How do you
We're using this like what we term a mock week, and it's awesome. You don't always get this week where the classes start and you don't play and you're out of camp. I like it like that. Last year we played on a Thursday, so it was a little bit of a quicker week, but it's so valuable because, okay, when you're in camp, it's just Groundhog Day. I mean, literally, they're just hitting the alarm. They're doing the same thing every day. The food is there. You just eat. Now you go here. You're in a meeting. You go practice. They don't even have to think. They're like robots. Now classes start, okay, and first time we practice in the afternoon, we practice in the mornings every day, except for the one rain day we went back out there. But you know what I'm saying? So that was different. Having been to class and having to do things instead of just being meetings and then walkthroughs and then practice and then all that, now they're out there in the world, you know what I'm saying? So it's been different getting them over here. You worry, are they going to get here on time? Are they going to be focused? Are they going to have eaten? You'll be surprised how many guys that eat like they eat yet won't eat lunch because they got class or they got to run here, they got to go do this, something happens. Whereas before, food's there. I mean, 5 steps, somebody's handing them food, they don't even have to think about that. So it's good to go through that. It's good to see who's going to be late. Like we have a couple of players. Alex Flynn would be one on a Wednesday. He's got a late class. Now, he's going to be a doctor, so you know what I'm saying? We want him in that class, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to him later in life. He missed that class, So we get to figure out, well, how long is it going to really take you to get here? So how are we going to adjust the schedule? There's a couple other guys like that too. Is there a better way to get them here? Can we get a better parking situation? So we're working all those things out. We are practicing kind of like we do during the season in that we go against scout teams and we go against each other in certain drills. We're doing that, seeing how we like that, and seeing if we want to do it the same way or change from last year. But we're not really just saying, hey, we got to go. Or it's North Carolina State. We're not really even talking. We're going against scout team, but we're not really calling them North Carolina State. You know what I'm saying? We're really just kind of still working on ourselves. But we've introduced a little bit of their stuff.